So you're on the Apple website specking out your next purchase, whether that's an iPad or something simpler like an Apple Pencil or AirTag. You choose the color you want, the storage, quantity, and just as you're about to go to the checkout page, it asks you if you want to engrave your product. It's free, so you think, why not add your name or an emoji? Well, there is actually a good reason not to engrave your Apple product, depending on what type of user you are. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by letting you know why you may not want to engrave your next Apple purchase. Currently, Apple gives you the option to engrave AirPods, AirTags, Apple Pencils, the second generation, and iPads, all for free when you order from apple.com. Alternatively, you can also get engraving done at an Apple store in person. And Apple's engraving looks good. The etching is done with high-powered precision lasers that don't leave any indentation and are colored semi-light gray. You can add text from multiple languages, including English and Hindi, a variety of symbols and emojis, and they can all be customized as you like. Well, to an extent. Apple does not allow derogatory, sexist, racist, or other vulgar words, and in places like China, restricts terms relating to politics and human rights, as well as numbers like 8964, which refer to the Tiananmen Square protests and massacre. And aside from aesthetics, engraving your Apple product gives it some customization, and in an office environment where you have a lot of the same product, for example, can help you tell one AirTag apart from another. You can also add your name and a contact email, for example, so it can act as a potential way to recover your stuff too. There's also the side effect of acting as a theft deterrent. Engraving makes it just a little bit more difficult for a thief to resell your AirPods or an iPad, for example, because of the customization and the identifying information on it. It also makes it just a little bit easier for you to search online and potentially find and recover your lost stuff. So you can say, hey, that Apple Pencil with that email address on it or with that name on it, I know that's mine. But those same elements that make it difficult for a thief to resell your iPad, for example, also make it a little bit more difficult for you to resell your iPad, especially if you want to trade it back in with Apple. You may be familiar with Apple's trade-in program, where you can send back your used iPad, MacBook, or other Apple device to get credit toward a new one. And if you're not familiar with Apple's trade-in program, I'll leave a link to a video I made all about that right under the subscribe button below. Apple's trade-in program is a convenient way to take some of the sting off the price of an upgrade. You can, for example, send back an iPad Air and get a couple $100 back toward the price of a new one. That is, if it's not engraved. Engraving can put you in that bummer of a situation where you get an online estimate for your old iPad, but then once the company who processes trade-ins for Apple gets it in their hands, they adjust the estimate to something a lot less than you were originally quoted. Exactly how much less you'll be offered for an engraved product versus a non-engraved product can really depend, but I've seen some of the Apple trade-in product providers offer you as little as $10, and a lot of them won't even take Apple trade-ins that have engraving on it at all. And that's because in the case of an iPad, for example, if it has engraving on the back, they'll have to replace this entire back to be able to resell it in most cases, and they're going to knock off a lot of the cost for the trade-in, and sometimes it's just not worth it for them to take back your old item. Engraving can also make returns trickier because those products can't be exchanged in store, they can only be returned for a refund. And on top of that, engraving can mean a few extra days being added to your shipping date, so you'll have to wait longer than you would otherwise. But all of this isn't to say that engraving your Apple product is all bad. There are actually a lot of good reasons to engrave your product as well. For smaller, less expensive items and those that aren't eligible for the trade-in program like Apple Pencils or AirTags, then there are mostly advantages to engraving. You get some personalization, make your stuff more identifiable, and you can show off that you love dogs. Woof. For larger engravable items like iPads, for example, like I said, the advantages for you are the same disadvantages for a thief and vice versa. So engraving your iPad, for example, makes it more difficult for a thief to resell it, but it also makes it more difficult for you to trade it in with Apple. But if you're the kind of person that will use an iPad, for example, until it's obsolete, you'll use it for years and years and years, then it doesn't really matter whether it's engraved or not because you probably wouldn't even be able to trade it in after a long period of time anyway. And that's assuming you want to trade in or sell your old Apple iPad, for example. You might not want to do that. You might want to give it to your kids or your parents or gift it to someone else or just have it collect dust on a shelf. It's really all up to you. On the other hand, if you're the kind of person that upgrades your tech pretty frequently and you use the Apple trade-in program or you resell on eBay often, then you might not want to engrave your next Apple purchase. Or just YOLO. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this explains some of the advantages and disadvantages of using the Apple engraving feature. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week, and I will see you in the next video.